One of the movies that I enjoy watching is called Why Did I Get Married by Tyler Perry. I love the first one because despite the melodramatics and soap opera-ness of it, there was some real truths that were dropped in that particular movie about marriage and decisions we make and so forth. But there was also some personal truth bombs that were kind of in there. What I mean by that is there were a couple of things that were said that should give us all kind of pause for thought from time to time. And one of them had to do with making excuses. In fact, the character Sheila makes a comment about her being heavy, about being fat. And Mike says, well, if you're tired of that, then you can do something about that because it's making me uncomfortable every time you say something. So, that, along with something else that I heard recently, got me to thinking about excuses are problems and who owns them.
Hey girl, have you been looking for a safe space for women to have authentic conversations around everything that impacts our life, careers, and relationships? I'm Shy Boston, and on this show, I talk about all things connected to our personal and professional development so we can live our best and authentic lives. Grab a drink, sit back, and let's have a chat. It's time for some coffee, cocktails, and clarity.
As I said, I'm sick. I said this in the previous episode. So, yes, I'm getting over a bad cold. Blame it on the change of season and overworking myself. And I am drinking my Cafe Bustelo decaf, of course, with my International Delight Caramel Macchiato No Sugar Creamer. I love this combo. It is really great as an iced coffee, but I'm drinking it as, right now it's kind of lukewarm, but I'm still enjoying it. Anyway, enough about what I'm drinking. What are you drinking, darling? Let's take our sip, shall we? Mm-hmm. So good. Mm. So now, shall we get down and have a little clarity? So one of the other conversations that was taking place amongst some friends was all around excuses and our problems, ownership, all these different types of things, and accountability. And there was a statement that was made that was supposed to be a known quote, but I hadn't heard this before, but I thought it was powerful. So I took a note and I'm going to read it to you. And I want you to think about it for a second. It says, if we make excuses for our problems, we get to keep them. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take a sip on that one too. Mm. Because it made me think about how many times do we make excuses for the problems we have as a way of not holding ourselves accountable, even though we know we should hold ourselves accountable. So going back to that movie and the scene from that movie, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Really, all he was saying to her is if you're not happy with where you are in life, if you're not happy with how you feel, the weight that you're carrying, and all these things, then why don't you choose to do something about it rather than sitting around and making excuses? So when I heard this particular quote talking about, let me go back here to my phone so I can make sure I pull up this quote right again. If we make excuses for our problems, we get to keep them. My first thought was, well, how many problems have I made excuses for that I'm still holding on to? And when I started making that list, I was not happy with the lengthiness of that list. Because the reality is, there are a lot of problems, a lot that we can make excuses for, substitutions for, that we can say is out of our control, blame others for, that we can even say because of who we're associated with that we have to do certain things. So there are a lot of things that we can say. And while there can be truthfulness to all of that, do not get me wrong, there are some things that we can't control. There are some things that are influenced by our environments and those that are around us. But the reality is that we are accountable to ourselves. I could sit here and tell you, like I said in my last episode, I can blame my husband for getting sick. When we first got married some 25 years ago, I was getting sick all the time, and the doctors couldn't figure out why until I was like, oh, yeah, well, my husband's a teacher. And he was like, oh, well, there you go. He's your carrier, he's your incubator. He's already has an immunity to whatever viruses and little cooties that these kids are carrying. So when he comes home from work, you're the one picking them up because you don't have that immunity just yet. So here we are all these years later. And for the most part, I do have an immunity to what these little critters are walking around with when it comes to their cooties. And I love being around the kids, and I'm also very conscious of the fact that when I go to visit the school and I'm doing things to make sure that I'm washing my hands and sanitizing and so forth. But the reality is I can't blame getting sick, this time at least, on my husband. So I can make that excuse and say, well, he's had a little cough. It's a change in the season. Cough and flu is going around the schools, and he generally comes home and has a little cough, but it's nothing major. But because of my immune system, he knows that if he coughs around me, that I'm going to be. No, I can come up with all kinds of excuses. The reality is, I overworked myself. I seriously overworked myself for about 3, 4 days, where I was barely getting 3 hours of sleep a night. And I was literally working all day, most of the day, and all night. And I could feel the rundown in my body. Now, mind you, that was a week and a half ago or so. And I could feel the rundown in my body. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to get sick at some point. Keep pushing. Keep going. I got to get this done. And no, I didn't take the precautions and do all the things that I should have taken. And once initially the onset of symptoms kind of went by the wayside, I was like, okay, well, maybe I beat it. And then wham, they hit me unexpectedly. And I was like, yep, I'm down for the count. So, been in bed for a while, taking it easy, caught up on some K dramas, But my point is, and pardon the motorcycle, it's probably passing in the back that you may or may not be able to hear right about now. But the point is, I can make all the excuses in the world, but I brought it on myself. It was a problem and that I brought on myself. Because the problem was that I did not balance my time as well as I had wanted to. With other things coming into play, I can make excuses in the world. But the reality was I didn't check my time as well. And so because my time got out of control, it backed me into a corner with some of these projects where I was like, I've got to get some things done. I won't blame it on my ADHD. I will not blame it on procrastination, because actually I had my time very well planned out. Other things came along and I did not focus my time or balance my time or readjust. That's the word I'm looking for. See, now I can't blame that on the ADHD. I didn't readjust my time properly so that I can give everything the due attention when it needed it, which included myself. So now I'm sick. There's other excuses that we may use for some of the baggage that we're carrying. I've been a bag lady. Yes, I'm seeing you, Erica Badu. Are you a bag lady? Are you carrying some baggage right now? Are you making excuses for things that you probably don't need to be? Because if you're taking some accountability for them, there is no need for the excuses. Have you put on weight and you want to blame your work schedule and life happening? Because that does happen and things happen. When the reality is, you could have chosen something different to eat rather than surviving off of red vines and hot tamales and soda while you were working those 3, 4 days. Yes, I have the right not to sit there and put myself out there, but I'm putting myself out there. I survived on red vines, hot tamales, and soda. And I gained some weight. That's not a good thing. But Maybe there's other things going on in your life and you're not able to give attention to your normal workout schedule or to start a workout schedule. Perhaps, with the governmental shutdowns or with other things that are going on, you've had to maybe adjust what type of food you're buying at the supermarket. Maybe it's a relationship that you know is no longer serving you, and you're finding all the reasons why you shouldn't leave rather than focusing on the one or million and one reasons why you should. It could be perhaps a long overdue talk that you need to have with a loved one or a friend about a situation that hurt you deeply or may need for you to cut off that relationship, at least for a time. And you're giving reasons why you shouldn't. It could be that you're dealing with some of life's challenges and you already are working hard to overcome some other ones that are happening in your life that you've worked to get to maybe a place of sobriety, maybe a place of peace, maybe a place of understanding. And yet, because life is lifing, family is familying, friends are friending, you're driven to old habits, the desire for old habits. Maybe you are sitting there and wondering, what should I do next? Because if I do this, this is going to happen. If I do that, that's going to happen. If I do this, this is going to happen. But yet, none of those things really are about you. It's about other people and their reactions and how they're going to feel. Not that you shouldn't take those types of things into consideration. But what I'm saying is that if there is something that we are dealing with, and most of us are dealing with multiple somethings, are we also making excuses for those things? If your business is not growing and moving ahead, are you blaming it on the economy, which could very well be the situation? Or is it because you haven't tried other techniques to find your ideal client? Maybe you haven't reached out to your existing clients to see why they haven't come back or if they are coming back. If you're starting a business and you're struggling, it's easy to say, well, all new businesses struggle. Yes, that is true. But do you have a coach? Even if you already have an existing business, even if you are already working at an employer and you have mentors and all this sort of thing, do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? Do you have an accountability partner? Do you have someone that's going to help you to work through and level up? No matter what we're facing and what we're dealing with, we need to break them down into the things that we can control and the things we can't control. And for the things that we can control, start thinking of the solutions rather than the excuses to allow those things to continue going in the direction they're going, especially if it's not positive, if it's taking you down a path of destruction, old habits, if it's no longer serving you. Because the reality is, for every problem we have and every excuse we make, we're holding on to it like dead weight, literally and figuratively. Some of us are holding on to trauma weight. That means that we've experienced things in our lives that we are literally still carrying. I never really believed that until I had a therapist tell me that one of the reasons why I will not be able to lose weight, and one of the challenges that I've had over the years in losing weight, was because of trauma weight. Literally, I gained weight outside of medical conditions, outside of medication. It started with trauma. So when I sit and go, oh, I'm not losing weight, I could easily make all kind of excuses in the world. I can say it's trauma, I can say it's this, I can say it's that, but what am I doing about it? So to start that getting healthier process, it started with going to the doctor and getting a physical, and it started with getting a therapist. I did those two things. And then making my mind over that I was ready to start losing the weight and get myself healthier. And even though I've made that decision, there's also saying, I deserve this. So why am I sharing this? Because I'm sure there are many of you sister friends out there that are sitting with the same thing and thinking of the same thing. It may not be around health. It may be around a relationship. It may be around a job, maybe around your business. It may be around any number of things. Well, what are the things that you can control that are in your problem, challenges, need to make a decision list, things that are within your control that you've been making excuses for, which is causing you to continue to hold on to that problem rather than problem, solution, and it's gone. Or it at least has become more manageable. I'm going to encourage you to take some time and think about your problems, challenges, or decisions you need to make, the ones that are within your control. Think about all the excuses you've made, all those reasons why. And then I want you to think about, how would it look if I did this differently? How would it look if I didn't have this excuse or this reason, but I had this answer and I took this action? What would it look like and how would things be so different for you? Then I'm going to encourage you to take at least one of those things and start taking those first steps. Some things may be able to be done quickly. Great. Some things may take a little bit of time. Some things are going to require you to get more help, like therapy. And that's okay too. The point is that we want to look at our problems and the excuses we're making. And we want to say, we don't want to make any more excuses for our problems because we don't want to hold on to these problems that we can control when we got more than enough of the ones we can't.
I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate you choosing to take the time to chat with me today. I hope our conversation helped you to see things more clearly. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe so you can always be alerted to my new episodes each week. Enjoy the rest of your day or night, and let's get together again soon for some coffee, cocktails, and clarity.